Hello, I'm Alan Marinas. I am the Dean of the Mussar Institute, and it is my pleasure and my honor to be here with you to discuss a particular form of generosity, which is generosity with possessions. And it's something I'm very familiar with right now because in the last few months, my wife and I sold the house that we had lived in for 30 years and where we had raised our kids and where we had really had the bulk of our adult lives. We sold that house and we moved down to a smaller house, which is where I am right now. You're seeing my library and my new study. And along with that process came the need to dispense with a lot of stuff. We had accumulated an enormous number of possessions. And truthfully, we are not accumulating people. We're not hoarders. It's just that when you stay in a place for any length of time, things accumulate. And sometimes it's just easier to put something aside and put it in a closet, put it at the back of a drawer, and than it is to deal with it. So we ended up accumulating a lot of stuff, and along came the discipline, the necessary discipline of getting rid of things because they wouldn't fit into the new house, which is smaller. And as well as that, if we did move them, we were going to have to pay somebody to move stuff which we didn't really want or need or have any place for. So there was no reason to keep, so we started getting rid of stuff. Got into it. It started to be enjoyable. We started to clean things out. We started to give things away. Accumulating coats because somebody was having a coat drive. Oh, we can give to the coat drive. Or other things that could be given to other people that were useful. And then as I was cleaning things up, I came upon a box which was set in the back side of the house, really outside but under an overhang, and it was full of flower pots. Now, over time you get a flower or a pot like an orchid or something, and it only has a limited lifespan, certainly in my Vegemite hands. And so you end up with a pot, and I couldn't see any reason to throw out a perfectly good pot. So over nearly 30 years, a whole bunch of pots accumulate, and I ended up with a box of pots in the back. And here I am cleaning out. And of course, the ideal thing is to give things to people who can use them. Otherwise, they go in the garbage, and that seems so wrong, both because it was filling up the landfill, and here's something somebody could use. So what do I do with a box of flower pots? So I look on the web, and I find here in Vancouver, where I live, there's a geranium and begonia society. People who raise this particular flower. And I thought, oh, well, most of my pots are around the right size for geraniums or begonias. So I called the Geranium and Begonia Society. I said, I've got a box of flower pots. Would you like them? And the woman at the other end immediately said, oh, yes, we'd love them. We always have need for flower pots. I said, these are good ones. You can use these. So we made an arrangement, and I went over, and I gave her my box of flower pots, feeling very good. I was feeling good because I was lightening up. I was getting rid of stuff. It wasn't going to the dump. It was going into the hands of people who could use it. It was really good recycling, reusing. And then she reaches into her pocket and she pulls out 2 tickets to the annual show of the Geranium and Begonia Society. She was giving to me. And this was something she was very proud of, that they put on their annual show. They show the best of their geraniums and the best of their begonias. And so I was so honored. I was so tickled that I was going to be able to go and see all these flowers. Someplace I never would have gone, not kind of on my social schedule to be going to the Geranium and Begonia Society show. But the message for me and the lesson for me is partly about how good it feels to lighten up. It says in Pirkei Avot, the more possessions, the more worries. Pirkei Avot was put together 2,000 years ago, and I think on that score, nothing has changed. If you look at how much time we spend taking care of the material possessions which we acquire to take care of us, you have to wonder about who's working for whom here. The other thing is that when you give away your possessions, it's another way of building relationships. You're taking care of another person. You're giving, not just giving away a thing. You're giving to a person. And here this woman felt the the joy in the sense of receiving, and she reciprocated with the joy of giving, and I had joy in giving, and then I had the joy of receiving, and it was just a wonderful exchange that obviously meant a lot to me because I'm talking to you about it. The real lesson of giving away your possessions, though, goes deeper than that, because in truth, they're not your possessions. Nothing belongs to any of us. Everything that we have is just lent to us for a limited period of time, and in some way and in some form, it's going to move on. If you have this theology, which happens to be mine, it all belongs to God. If you just want to see it in kind of objective terms, it's all just transient. We're passing through, and as we pass through, things pass through our hands. If you have the opportunity to use your possessions to cultivate joy, which is really to do an interesting transaction. You're transferring something material and you're getting back something spiritual. You're converting the material into the spiritual. Your joy, your gratitude, somebody else's joy, somebody else's gratitude. To me, that's a fantastic transaction, to turn the material into the spiritual. And it's in your hands to do. It's also in your closets to do. It's in your basement to do. It's in your car trunk to do. It's everywhere around you to do. So I want to encourage you, as soon as you finish seeing this video, go look somewhere and take something out of your closet. You haven't worn that shirt for 2 years, you're not likely to. Those shoes have been sitting around. Now's the time. Do something good with your possessions. I just shared my story with you. I want to hear your story. generosityweek.org. And like that, we'll take a world, a material world, a physical world, and we'll turn it into a joyful and grateful spiritual world. And that's worth doing. I wish you well.